year was 1996, and at the time, the thing that I loved the most was Star Wars. I loved the movies, I loved the books, I loved the video games. And in that same year, Shadows of the Empire for the Nintendo 64 was released. And that was pretty much all we had back in the day, was the original Star Wars trilogy, the video games, and the books. Books like Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Star Wars Shadows of the Empire was a part of the Expanded Universe, and also part of the first Expanded Universe multimedia project by Lucasfilm. This Shadows of the Empire project was actually not just a book, but also a comic book, a soundtrack CD, which was featured on Shadows of the Empire for the Nintendo 64, and a little bit later, Shadows of the Empire on the PC. Although not considered canon in Star Wars and a part of the Legends timeline, Expanded Universe stories such as Shadows of the Empire were and still remain to be an important part of Star Wars. The Star Wars story of Shadows of the Empire takes place in between Star Wars Episodes 5, Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, which in between those films there's a little bit of gap for some more story to take place. Though the novel of Shadows focuses on the characters Leia, Luke, and other heroes for the most part, the N64 game focuses on newcomer Dash Rendar. The backstory for Dash is pretty vague and unexplored. Just like Han Solo, he is a smuggler and is close to the same archetype as Han. Dash's backstory, like Han Solo's, did not need to be told to understand his character. He is important to the story as for a majority of the game, Han Solo is frozen in carbonite from the events post-Empire Strikes Back. Dash Rendar may be the only playable character, but you will play as Dash in multiple ship-type levels and ground third-person shooter levels. Similarly to my previously reviewed video game Rebel Assault 2, there is also a speeder bike level called Swoop Bikes here. The ship levels are mostly all different. There is a snowspeeder on Hoth battle, an on-rails asteroid field level, and a huge space station battle with multiple phases. Though this is a tale set in between the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi films, the game's story actually begins at the Battle of Hoth during the opening parts of Empire Strikes Back. During the opening cutscene, Dash is having a conversation with fellow smuggler Han Solo. It helps set up a bit of who Dash is and his friendly rivalry with Han. This is one of the best levels in the game and most memorable, and up to this point, the often recreated Battle of Hoth was finally close to the films thanks to the N64's 3D graphics. As far as gameplay, the Battle of Hoth is presented very well. It's not a huge Battlefront-style battle, but instead a series of small sub-stages or waves. The first is you take down probe droids, easy enough. Then you go for more droids and a couple of AT-ST walkers. Then you'll have one huge AT-AT in part 3. This game allows you to shoot them down, but fans of the movies will know the real way to take out an AT-AT is by using a harpoon and tow cable. You can shoot out a cable and wrap it around the AT-AT's legs by flying around it. Phase 4 has even more enemies of the same 3 types. If you do manage to destroy an AT-AT using the tow cable method, you will receive a challenge point. Challenge points are needed throughout the game to unlock features after the game. Challenge points can also grant extra lives after completing a level. It's interesting that after the battle you still have to lose no matter how good you do to keep up the continuity with the movies. The second stage changes things up with an on-foot level as Dash Rendar. Dash must survive exploring the Hoth rebel base, which is being invaded by Imperial troops. Dash's main and only weapon is his blaster, which by default shoots lasers as a standard Star Wars weapon. The blaster can be upgraded with ammo pack pickups, including Seekers and Pulse-type ammunition, among others. These on-foot levels are presented in a third-person viewpoint, but in a majority of these types of stages, I prefer the optional first-person camera. The enemies here include snowtroopers and probe droids that Dash encounters as he searches the base for an exit from his ship. There are also the Wampas, the ice creatures that attacked Luke Skywalker and brought them into his cave. Based on a deleted scene from The Empire Strikes Back, the rebels have been keeping Wampas locked inside their base. You can set them free to find a couple packs of Seeker missile ammunition. But be careful, as these Wampas are some of the toughest enemies in the game. In the on-foot levels of the game, challenge points can be found as collectible coins. The level has some variation from navigating tunnels to activating an elevator generator, and even a room that breaks apart. Upon arriving at his ship, you set out of Echo Base and into the asteroid field. The asteroid field level is simple but fun. I remember as a kid back in the 90s thinking how much better it was than the Millennium Falcon space levels in the Super Nintendo game, Super Return of the Jedi. While this level is presented in a 3D view, you do not control the ship's movement here. You only aim and shoot. You have to destroy at least 60 TIE fighters and 20 TIE bombers. Watch out for incoming asteroids and shoot the red ones for a challenge point. You also have unlimited seeker missiles, but they do take a long time to reload. This level features some impressive visuals for the time with fast ship combat. Upon completing the asteroid field stage, this begins section 2 of the story where you search for Boba Fett, who has Han and Carbonite. It also introduces a new villain, Prince Xizor. Prince Xizor has a rivalry with Darth Vader and wants to take his place by the Emperor's side. Although he is not force sensitive, he also wants Luke Skywalker dead, whereas Darth Vader wants Luke alive to turn him to the dark side. The 4th stage is where things start to hit the fan for most players. The hover train stage. Although you are on foot again here, you are also for a majority of the stage stuck on a moving train. The objective here is to jump from train car to train car. You have a sense of fast movement and you will get pushed from side to side if you jump when the car is turning. As the level progresses, more and more train parts arrive to jump onto. When you make it to the front of the train, you have to jump on the right cart. There is a time limit, so act fast. The problem with this stage is the train drags on for a long amount of time, and it's tough, but not impossible. It might throw off new players. Literally, the level is set in a junkyard and looks about as putrid as can be. Due to the train's fast speed, this can be one of the harder levels to obtain all challenge points on. The boss fight takes place directly after the train arrives. It is a battle with the bounty hunter IG-88. This droid character was seen previously in the bounty hunter scene on Empire Strikes Back. The IG-88 fight takes place much like an arena shooter match. Using seeker missiles will help you a lot. If you shoot him enough, he will actually run away from you for a short time. After the boss battle, it's on to a new planet in search of Boba Fett. The next level of this game is called Gal Spaceport, and it is the longest level in the game. You begin the game in a canyon, and you'll be traversing the edges of the canyon and jumping over pits and platforms in order to reach the spaceport. Enemies in the beginning of this stage include Imperials such as Stormtroopers and probe droids. There's even a variation on a Wampa hidden in a cave on this level, and he's just as strong as the Wampas that were back on Hoth. While the level is pretty straightforward, there's a few points where the game splits off from the path, and you can find hidden challenge points, ammo pickups, and health packs. After traveling through most of the canyon, you'll make it into an Imperial facility with an elevator. Inside the Imperial complex, you'll find some more enemies. In order to reach the top of the facility, there's some slight puzzle solving as you have to use switches to unlock certain doors. When you reach the top of the building, you'll find a tower. Inside this tower is an item that you will be using for the rest of the game. It's a very important item as well. This item is the jetpack. Being on the N64, to me this was the equivalent of Super Mario 64's wing cap. The jetpack allows Dash Rendar to hover around for long distances. However, it comes at a cost. The jetpack needs to recharge and refuel from time to time. It doesn't refuel by picking up items, but it does refuel automatically. There's a percentage counter at the top of the screen that will let you know how much you have left. You will also know the jetpack's limits as it begins to slow down as it depletes its energy. Using this newly found jetpack, you'll have to travel over a bottomless canyon. Eventually, you will reach a hangar. Inside this hangar is an AT-ST. It's just as powerful as the first AT-ST, but at this point in the game, you might be a little bit better off due to your skill and experience. Upon further navigating this hangar, you will reach an elevator. Riding the elevator to the top will introduce you into the boss fight of this level, and it's a really cool one. The boss battle of this stage is the notorious Star Wars bounty hunter Boba Fett. At first you will fight Boba Fett man to man, both using your jetpacks and both shooting at each other. The strategy here is to hover around using your jetpack. However, you still have to keep an eye on how much fuel you are using on your jetpack during this boss fight. Eventually Boba Fett will retreat into his ship, the Slave One, and the second half of this boss fight begins. Dash has to fight and seemingly destroy the Slave One ship with Boba Fett in it. It's a little bit more challenging on this fight. He does more damage to you, and he's a lot bigger, but you can still take him down.
Luke Skywalker, I will bring your dead body to the Emperor himself and become his new right-hand man.
Ha ha ha, what? You look like an avocado, Prince Caesar. You'll never get away with this. You'll never defeat me. My lightsaber's even greener than your pale face.
Ha ha ha. Bring it on. You'll never beat me in the game either. Ha ha ha.
Oh yeah? Bring it on, Prince. Hey, what are you doing? I'm doing a review here. No, I wasn't playing with dolls. I'm doing a review for a YouTube video. It's really important. So, you're a Sith, huh? I can see it in your eyes. And you know what I know about the Sith? The Sith desire power above all else. So if you want to see who's the most powerful fighter, let me grab my lightsaber and we'll have a duel. And that's how you take care of a Sith. You gotta zap them first, before they get you. The third part of Shadows of the Empire is called Hunting the Assassins. This part of the story changes over from hunting Boba Fett and changes into Dash Rendar protecting Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker has traveled back to Tatooine to find the abandoned home of Obi-Wan Kenobi to refine his Jedi skills. Princess Leia worries about Luke's safety, so Dash Rendar comes in fast. And this begins one of the most frustrating levels of gameplay. The swoop bike level is so infuriating that it might put off players from completing this level and playing the rest of the game. However, if you do stick through this level, you'll find that the rest of the game goes back to basics and is actually really enjoyable. It really all comes down to the controls in this level. For one, it's a racing type level, which is completely different than any other stage in the game, so you're thrown in with completely new controls and a new mindset of playing. Using only a simple quick press of the buttons, it seems like you go full speed ahead. There's many things to run into here, including tunnels, stairs, doorways, and other obstacles that just seem to get in the way, and while they do add to a bit of the visual realism, they definitely just get in the way of gameplay, which is the most important. If you couple the poor level design with the fact that you're riding on a very fast swoop bike, then you'll know for sure that this is a difficult level. It's not just difficult, it's unfair and frustrating. As you can tell from my gameplay, I ran into the walls repeatedly and had a very hard time with this stage. However, it wasn't too difficult to actually complete the stage. It was more of a frustrating challenge to get over your own frustrations and concerns with that, rather than actually defeating the level. Because the level itself isn't too difficult. You just gotta stick with it and get past the pain of bumping into everything to make it through this stage. The actual objective here is to destroy each of the swoop bikers in order to reach Luke Skywalker at the end of the level. There's a sense of racing against them, but the easiest way to do that is to just destroy them. So when you knock them out, they will crash into the walls. Halfway through this level, it transitions into the deserts of Tatooine, and then it transitions once again into the Beggar's Canyon area. On a good run, you'll defeat all the swoop bikers about halfway through the Beggar's Canyon portion, and when you've defeated all the swoop bikers, it's simply a race to the end of the stage. So now you can pat yourself on the back as you've completed a very difficult stage, and the gameplay will go back to normal third-person shooter and space levels. Black Sun is behind the attempted attacks on Luke Skywalker. The Black Sun is a criminal organization in the Star Wars universe that is controlled by Prince Caesar. Luke Skywalker and Dash Rendar find out that there is more information to be found about this on an Imperial freighter. So then Dash Rendar sets out to board that Imperial freighter and begins the next level of the game. The freighter level has a different theme and look to it, as it looks just like one of the Star Destroyers or the Death Stars from the Star Wars movies. This is an Imperial ship, so it's very fitting that it looks appropriate. In this stage, you'll be progressing on foot from room to room. There are elevators to travel through and traps to navigate around. The enemies here are mostly stormtroopers, droids, and small turrets. The freighter stage offers a small amount of puzzle solving, as you have to open a certain amount of doors to reach the staircase that leads to the very top of the room, and the exit. You have to fight the boss of the level, the loader droid. The loader droid is a simple boss fight. You shoot at it and you dodge its attacks. There isn't too much of a strategy, just dodge when you can and keep on shooting. However, if you have any special ammo pickups, this is the best place to use them on these boss fights. Upon defeating the loader droid boss, you will find the supercomputer and be able to leave the level. Princess Leia uncovers Prince Xizor's plans. Darth Vader also uncovers his plans, and the Imperials and the Rebels at the same time are both rushing towards the Imperial city to attack Black Sun. Dash Rendar, Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker, and Lando Calrissian go into the Imperial city to infiltrate Black Sun. Dash Rendar is the only one that you'll be playing as he goes on his own separate mission to destroy the base with bombs. In order to reach the palace of Prince Xizor, which is the next level, in this level you'll be playing through the sewers, because you have to go through the sewers of the city in order to make it through the top into the palace. In this stage you'll once again have your jetpack, and you'll be needing to use that from time to time to navigate through the level. The sewer stage even outdoes the junkyard train stage, as looking gross and even more putrid than ever before. You're going through an actual sewer here, and it definitely looks appropriate. The enemies in this stage include the Black Sun guards, as well as various types of droids that will attack you. There's actually a new type of enemy here, the Dianoga. The Dianoga is actually a monster from the Star Wars films. It was the same monster that took Luke Skywalker underwater when they were trapped in the Death Star trash compactor. There's more than one of them in this level too, as well as a giant one for the final boss. While these monsters reside under the sewer water, they can actually attack you from the surface. This level involves navigating through sewer pipes, activating switches to unlock new doors, and using your jetpack sparingly to navigate through the level. There are many times where you'll have to use your jetpack just precisely and just enough to make it to the right platform, because it does have a certain amount of time that it needs to recharge. If you run out of jetpack fuel, you'll have to stand still and wait for it to regenerate. This stage is also very easy to get confused and lost in. I got turned around multiple times as I played through this level. The boss battle of the sewers takes place in a giant dome-shaped area where you'll fight a giant Dianoga monster. To defeat this monster, you have to shoot the red Dianoga eye and avoid the other tentacles. Upon defeating this monster, you will open up the top of the room, which you can fly up to using your jetpack and escape the level. The way this level ends leads you directly into the next level of the game, Prince Xizor's Palace. The final standard type level of Shadows of the Empire begins directly where the last level left off, in the lower levels of Prince Xizor's base. As Prince Xizor is part of the Black Sun and not the Empire, there's a distinct graphical difference between the Empire stages and the Black Sun Prince Xizor stages, such as this one. The stage is dark, has red lighting, and has a purple glow to it. The enemies in this stage are not stormtroopers, but rather Black Sun soldiers and droids. There's a few different droid types, including those that float around, gun turrets, as well as droids that are more humanoid-like and seen in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, Special Edition. There's some very light puzzle solving here, including opening doors with switches, and some doors that you have to open that are open for just a small amount of time. There's also some simple platforming, but it's made easy because you still have your jetpack. Your jetpack makes it so if you accidentally fall in a hole or a pit, you can just float right out of it. The highlight of this level is to set some bombs on a single tower. This tower will need to be traveled up using your jetpack, and there's a few bombs that you have to set along this tower in order to complete the goal of the level. Then Dash Rendar makes his way out of Prince Xizor's palace, but before he can leave, he has to fight the boss. And this boss is what I consider to be the true final boss of the game, as the next level you're in your ship the entire time. This boss is the Gladiator droid, and you'll be fighting him in 3 separate phases. The first stage is a full-size giant robot with multiple attacks. You can fly around him or shoot him from different angles. Phase 2, he will break apart and just be this floating upper half. You will fly around the area, which is now transformed into a labyrinth. You can navigate this maze to get a better vantage point to shoot him from behind, or you can take him head on, but beware, he has very strong attacks at this point. His third phase is just his head. It's fairly simple compared to the other two phases, and if you stand right between two walls, you will block most of his attack on you. The gladiator droid's head only attacks in one pattern, just shooting a laser left and right towards you. If you're careful, you can destroy him even just using the simple laser. Once you've defeated the gladiator droid, get ready for the final stage of the game, a space battle against Prince Xizor's Skyhook. The Skyhook is a space station of Prince Xizor and the Black Sun. In this level, Dash Rendar takes his ship on a course to the Skyhook. He's also followed alongside with Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing, as well as Lando Calrissian and Chewbacca in the Millennium Falcon. In this level there are two phases. The first phase harkens back to the asteroid field level, where you're not destroying asteroids this time, but just some fighters. But they're not Imperial fighters, of course. These are Black Sun fighters, so you get to see a new type of ship in this level. The Black Sun ship, it's very similar to the TIE bombers, but it's just as fast as the TIE fighters. They're called Star Vipers. On my run I destroyed 50 Star Vipers, and by that point we had reached the Skyhook, which transitions in the background during your fight, which is a really cool effect, so it makes it look like you're actually traveling toward the Skyhook as you're fighting these other fighters. Once you've arrived at the Skyhook, you'll also notice that the Empire has arrived as well, with one Star Destroyer and many TIE fighters. In something you don't often see in Star Wars, you've got a three-way battle. You've got the Empire on one side, who is an enemy. You've got the Rebels, which is your team, and you've also got Black Sun, another enemy. And they're all fighting against each other in front of the Skyhook. But the objective of this battle is not to destroy the Empire or the Black Sun directly from their fighters. You have to navigate your way inside the four areas of the Skyhook and destroy the base from within, similarly to the Death Star fights in the Star Wars films. There are four long tunnels that come out of the core of the Skyhook. In order to go inside the tunnels, you must first destroy a turret on the end of each of the four tunnels. Once you head inside one of the tunnels, you'll notice there's barricades on the walls. This reminds me of the second Death Star and the ending of Return of the Jedi. It also might remind you of the game Star Fox. To destroy the Skyhook, you must damage all four corresponding points inside the reactor. This is actually a fairly easy level in the game, but it's a fun one as well. They really made it cinematic in appearance as well as presentation with the sound and music. The most dangerous thing in this level is running into the barricades inside the Skyhook tunnels. Unless you're really good at piloting, you have to dodge them by moving very slowly. Once you destroy the reactor core, you have to make your way out of the Skyhook. And then you see the final explosion of the Skyhook being destroyed. This is where the game becomes a little open-ended with two alternate endings. On easy mode, which is what I did for this review, you get an ending where Dash Rendar didn't make it out of the explosion, and he died during the explosion. While I've beaten the game on medium difficulty in the past, I didn't have the correct save file. If you complete the game on medium difficulty, you'll find the true ending, which continues directly after the easy mode ending's final scene. You discover that Dash Rendar goes into hyperspace during the explosion of the Skyhook, and that he wants to remain hidden from the rebels after that point. He wouldn't have gotten a reward for this mission, so he chooses to remain a smuggler and remembered as a martyr. The cutscene goes back to Tatooine, as we see Luke and Leia preparing to enter Jabba the Hutt's palace in an effort to rescue Han Solo. That's where the game ends. Congratulations, you have beaten Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire. In my opinion, it's an N64 classic and a highlight of that system. So now we know pretty much everything there is to know about the game Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire for the Nintendo 64. This game features some great 3D environments on the early days of the N64, a good soundtrack, pretty good controls, memorable characters and locations, and a decent Star Wars story to add to the overall lore. Star Wars Shadows of the Empire is a game that I recommend for anyone with an N64 library or a fan base of Star Wars. Thank you for watching Star Wars Shadows of the Empire review today on Happy Beard Games. My name is Kevin, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel, Happy Beard Games. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. Also be sure to leave a like, because leaving a like lets me know that I'm doing the right thing. As well as, please leave a comment in the comment section below. I want to know what you think, as well as any other video games that you might want to see me review in a long or short review video coming soon on Happy Beard Games. Let me know what you want to see. Alright guys, thanks for watching Happy Beard Games once again. Stay tuned and I'll see you next time.